Ẹ káàárọ̀, orúkọ mi ni Murayo Afolabi Brown. Pẹ̀lú mi láàárọ̀ yìí ni àwọn àjùmọ̀ṣètò lórí Yourview. Ẹ káàárọ̀. Are you clapping for me? It's not my language. Are you clapping for me?
I just know why.
It's not my language.
Yes, I can one more one night biao.
Báwo ni Tọ́pẹ́?
Mo wà pa. Like that's Lagos Yoruba. Okay.
Speak Ijebu.
Ara mi ṣe déédéé. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run pé mo wà láyé lénìí. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run fún gbogbo ire tó ti ṣe fún mi. Mo dúpẹ́ fún àwọn òbí mi. Because nítorí after ètò lénìí ma lọ kí àwọn lẹ́yìn ètò lénìí ma lọ kí àwọn òbí mi, so mo dúpẹ́ fún wọn. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run fún wọn.
First, I'd like to say to my Igbo people, in divine, Otutuoma. Then to my Hausa people, I would say, Inakwana, Mutaning, Zozo. Then to my Bini people, I would say, which one again? I would say, Lareze. Right. So that's how we greet in our different dialects.
So today we're doing, today is actually International Mother Tongue Day. And we're discussing more on the mother tongue. But how you ladies doing?
We good.
Okay.
I like this green and white combo. Did you guys pass the memo that you did tell me?
You are not in the loop.
Obviously not.
I am actually mourning.
Sorry?
I'm mourning today.
You're mourning? Who died?
I got home on Friday after the show to find out I lost my uncle in a ghastly motor accident. When I traveled home, some people had mentioned that I should say it on the show, talk about these Dangote trucks, the way they kill people along Auchi Road is very bad, blah, blah, blah. And I always said, maybe they were overrating it. But when it happened to me, it now dawned on me that I really didn't do my part. Because I remember that my father had never in his life had hypertension. But for this particular incident that happened, his BP just went up. Right now he's at home. He has his immediate surviving younger brother, and it really touched him. It really affected him because of the way it happened. And we pray that Allah forgives his soul and accept him into our Jannah, and his children too, that that they are well careful.
That's very painful.
That's very painful, though.
Sorry about your loss.
Painful. I think, honestly speaking, we've had series of cases of road truck drivers that just is either they drive reckless, they skid off the road and hit an oncoming vehicle, or they're just very reckless.
In addition, it's also very important that the state governor tries to do something about it. I remember Lagos State created LASMA for things like this, where you have that particular spot has always been a problem spot for truck drivers and road users in Auchi. I don't know when the Edo State government will deem it fit to look for solutions around that place. You leave the people at their own mercy. They're trying to, every time someone travels home, they always tell us, be careful around that place. So, the government should look into it. It's not until I come on Yourview to see. It happens in Edo State. You're the governor of Edo State. Look into it.
I think a lot of Lagosians need to go back to their states and hold people accountable. Like I say, we all then tend to claim Lagos. We're enjoying good governance, but the people at home are actually suffering some form of, there is need for those of us that can speak up to speak up on their behalf, because when you take it or leave it, you still have your state to go to.
He's a new governor, so hopefully
we'll see how that goes.
Into it.
Let's take a break. I'm fine. I'm very okay.
How was the person?
Oh, it was really nice. I had fish with soup for dinner last night. Very nice. Just only me. Everybody else ate eba. I'm seriously taking my weight loss now.
Journey serious.
Seriously. So we'll see how it goes.
We are seeing the results.
Yeah, so let's take a break. When we come back, look at the front pages of the newspapers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Yourview will be right back.
Start with the Punch. PDP, Sheriff meets Jonathan. McCarthy appeals judgment. Picture here of a police vehicles barricaded at the International Conference Center during the PDP meeting in Abuja. Osinbajo meets governors, ministers on rice, wheat production. Herdsmen kill 22 villagers in fresh Kaduna attacks. Lagos housemaid flees with Ghanaian family's daughter. Money laundering, go after CBN NNPC, Senate panel tells EFCC. Outrage as Indian packaged Gary sells in Nigeria. Federal government summons South African envoy over attacks on Nigerians. Naira falls to 529 Naira to the dollar. CBN allocates forex for PTA and school fees. Collapsed building, Lekki Gardens, Lubos. Others charged with manslaughter. Robbery, 2 men to die by hanging in Oshun. Lots of stories here.
I wanted to take the Ghanaian girl quickly. The Ghanaian family lived in Lagos in Ijo, and they had a maid from Benue, Mary, in the story. The maid is the same age, 12 years old, as the girl in the story, and she just, took her out of the house with a bag. The driver of the family had seen her and questioned where she was going with that bag, but she said the mom had sent her to the shop. Apparently, Mary works with the mother in her frozen food shop, and she escaped with the 12-year-old girl. Initially, when I was reading the story, I was thinking maybe both of them were kidnapped. But that's a possibility. But they kept insisting because she was the one with the bag and she had given the false excuse of being sent on an errand by the mom. So definitely she planned to kidnap the 12-year-old girl.
So Gary,
the Indian package Gary. Who read that?
Indian package by Gary. Well, they say that from the reports that some supermarkets in Nigeria have this
Nikoyi actually
this packaged Gary, but me, I don't want to talk about the. I'm just talking in line with trying as much as possible to encourage local farming. For people that have farmlands, first of all, because they mentioned something about NAFDAC.
What the article was saying is that the reports about this that went online, somebody posted it, that this is what Nigeria has descended into. So the NAFDAC officials, seeing the online, went to the supermarket to seize those products, seeing that some of them were, because I think it's TKS produced. We assumed it was India, but we thought it's India. But according to the report from NAFTA, they're saying that it was probably packaged in Ghana and sent to the UK.
No, but they are saying it's packaged in Nigeria by Indians. The point I'm trying to make is that, first of all, to get NAFDAC registration as a local farmer, it's very expensive. If they truly want to encourage Nigerians to go into this agric, they should make those processes easy. Then secondly, a lot of people package things and send them abroad because they make more money. They have forex, they earn forex. I know people that go to buy from local women that fry gari, package it and send it abroad to make money. So I think if you want to start all this process, the reason the Indians will see it, they know that it's a viable business. That's why they're investing in it. So Nigerians should look, instead of slaughtering them, let them look into how to encourage more local farmers to grow their business.
In addition, this particular brand is actually an Indian brand. That's why people attributed this gari to come from India. They've brought in a lot of other things that are consumed by Nigerians. Yes, for a country that has said that they want to promote agriculture and promote local content, you've banned the ones that are essential to the people, then this kind of things shouldn't come in. And we shouldn't just make it a show on paper like this. We must trace how we got NAFDAC registration, who is importing it. So who is importing it, who is retailing it. All of them should be held accountable so that this doesn't happen in future.
Okay, all right, moving on to The Nation. Jonathan backs sheriff as McAfee vows to fight on. Auditor General plans weekly audit of agencies. Presidency to South Africa end attacks on Nigerians. 100 Lagos workers get rent to own houses. So these
congratulations to the Lagos State rent to own the home, where you pay your rents as every month, and then accumulative over 10 years you get to own your house. But I want to talk about the presidency replying what is going on, because xenophobic attack. Okay, we'll
talk about it in Vanguard. But yes,
you want to take the you should actually take the
Jonathan's story.
That rent to own, I just wanted to quickly add that right now the location that I am aware of that is it's in Ekpe. A lot of people, the houses are spread all over the places. So I think if the government wants to make it really, really effective, is to try to flood the different locations with more houses.
Yeah, I spoke to the
5 locations right now are available.
Yes,
I'm also looking into it. They have the Ekpe, the Agbowa, that's in Korodu. They have Ojokoro as well. And 5 of the estates are available for now. Yeah. They are looking to expand.
I spoke to the PR in housing, and he was specific saying that there's no land they're looking for land within the mainland, because I was complaining that how come it's all the way after Ajah, Lekki. The only ones on the mainland that I know of 100% for rent to own is in Ikpori. That's the one that's definitely ready to go. But even that one is out on the, almost on the outskirts towards. According to him, there's really no land for that. They would have built here. That's where the new development is going on.
We don't even need land. If they expand the roads, I can live in Mowe and work in Lagos. I don't have to. You know,
who is Ogun State now?
I'm just saying.
Moving on to Vanguard. Federal government warns South Africa of dire consequences. Foreign Ministry summoned South African High Commissioner, calls for AU intervention as fear of further attacks spreads. Senate seeks harder stance against South Africa. How Hillary Clinton lost the election. Governor's pension. Kalu dissociates himself, says he remains unpaid. Sheriff is PDP leader, says Jonathan. Ex-NNPC boss saga. Go after MDA's others, Senate tells EFCC. No record of oil, non-oil activities since 2015, says Senate. CBN orders major forex market overhaul as Naira depreciates further. So this is South African xenophobic attacks.
The Senior Special Assistant on Foreign Affairs and the Diaspora, Abike Dabiri, spoke up against the xenophobic attack, which is back in South Africa, where 20 Nigerians were killed in this recent
2016, but the entire was 100.
No, the last one was 20, but we've had over 160 Nigerians killed in the attack. So the idea is that the Senate is complaining that there should be tougher for 116 Nigerians in 2016, and there should be tougher sanctions against South Africa concerning this attack. And now my opinion is that we shouldn't just do talk shop. This is not the first time. It's not the second. It's been happening. What exactly what punishment has been as our Ministry of Foreign Affairs ensure that it was enforced on those that were found guilty of these killings? Because there were videos of them hacking people down, killing people. So the culprits were easy to find. So how have we pressurized South Africa to ensure that they prosecute those that were killing Nigerians?
Part of what they're trying to do is presently in this report also they summoned the what they call ambassador or ZI commission. Commissioner to South Africa of South Africa to Nigeria today to look into what is happening to Nigerians abroad in their country, and it's not Nigerians only, all foreigners, but particularly Nigerians as well.
Yes, there's one Pretoria West also from Pretoria that was also killed. It's been really crazy, and South Africa is the last country to do this in Nigeria
because they have a lot of interest here.
Not only that, we've really helped them. We've been a big brother.
Yes,
but that interest Tope talked about is one way we can also check them. We can also threaten that their businesses here will be shut down. If their
but the average one
take proactive
the average one on the street in South Africa doesn't really care about that. But so is the government actually?
Then the government would want to secure their investments here.
Okay, Daily Sun: 21 killed in fresh attacks on southern Kaduna villages. PDP crisis: Jonathan wades in, tells sheriff to make sacrifice. McAfee faction defies police, resolves to head for Supreme Court. Fire outbreak at the National Assembly. Abia government hasn't paid me pension since 2009, says Kalu. Federal government warns South Africa over attacks on Nigerians. I know those persecuting me and their motive, says Umuche. Senate gives Mago ultimatum to provide details of recovered loot. Again, Amnesty reports killing of 177 pro-Biafra agitators.
This 21 killed in fresh attacks in southern Kaduna. I didn't, I heard the reviews over the radio, but what I just want to say is I think the government should really, really look into why, because there's always a foundation why these things are happening. Why? Is it that somebody's trying to fight somebody off their lands or something? We should just find a way, because, killings don't just happen just like that.
The reports in the Punch, when I read it, the government immediately went into action to try to stop it. The military head had spoken about it. Special assistant on publicity to the state governor of Kaduna had also come out to say this will be investigated and put.
That's the thing. So it is not just putting a stop to it. It is finding out why. Exactly. Why is it always happening all the time?
Peaceful resolution.
I know the governor has really tried to work on it.
If we're able to find that, we can curb it.
All right, we need to move on. Unfortunately, we can't discuss this, but let me just read the headlines very quickly. CBN abolishes preferential treatment for manufacturing and other sectors. 22 killed in fresh attacks in southern Kaduna. Michael Bruce children fight over father's estate. That would be an interesting thing to read, but unfortunately, we can't take that story. Let's take a quick break now. When we come back, the mother tongue going extinct in Nigeria, and later we speak to the acting commissioner of tourism on how do we bring back the culture of speaking our local dialects. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So our mother tongue, the language an individual learns to speak as a child, it's also believed that the mother is the first teacher available to the baby after birth. However, it's becoming worrisome with the rate at which the mother tongue, otherwise known as indigenous languages, are being threatened by foreign languages, which are driving the indigenous languages to extinction. Now, who is responsible for influencing the need for our children to learn and speak their mother tongue? It's your view that you count. You can call us on 070-80668014. You can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag Yourview TVC so we can read your tweets. Yeah. Why are you smiling?
Okay,
What's that?
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
Yeah, on Sunday I watched Kidele's series on TV, and there was this particular scene on mother tongue. She was supposed to be teaching mother tongue to children living in the UK, and it saved their lives when robbers attacked, because the little girl had learnt what Olokpa meant, and she had learnt what Ole meant. So when Jennifer started saying, Olokpa, Ole, Ole, the girl knew what it meant. And I remembered as a child, my father had narrated a story to me that happened during the Civil War, why I was forced to learn my language living in Lagos. An uncle was, picked up, and they thought he was Igbo. And he said to his child, he had a gun actually in the house, take the gun out. But because the child did not understand our dialect, he repeated in English, you mean gun? And immediately his father lost his life because of that. So my people then in Lagos started forcing their children to speak the dialect. It's very important, and that's why I always advocate it. That's why I feel it's a very important identity of the African child. As Africans, the most important identity of us as Africans, that we should not, trade for anything. Because we want to sound educated, most of us have decided that, you have to speak Queen's English. And in order to speak Queen's English, we forget to teach our children the most important part of our identity.
You know what, when it comes to cross, we know these things. Everybody out there knows it is right to have your children speak the mother tongue. But when in their realistic terms, it's almost very impossible to achieve it in the homes, because people know it's right for your kids to speak, because you learned, but it's now, how do you get your children to speak it?
Why it is called mother tongue is because nobody actually teaches you. You just hear it all around you and you pick it up. So the idea is that your parents converse in the language, and by default they just speak to you in the language, and you are forced to reason out what they're saying over time by saying, what, and then they correct you. As a child, nobody had to say they want to teach me Yoruba. Yoruba was a lingua franca in the house. So, but as getting married to someone from a different area of the country, we're forced to communicate only in English, because he doesn't understand Yoruba. I don't understand Isha. So our only way of communication becomes English. So my children now learning their native language would require defined consideration from me to consciously speak to them in the language over and over again. However, when you have cases of both parents being from the same region, conversing constantly in that language, and then switch to English when you want to speak to the children, that is where we need to address. So you speak in Yoruba to your partner, and then you don't switch to English when you want to talk to your child. While I was in the US, I realized that I stayed with someone, one of our colleagues here, the wife, and the boy was greeting in Yoruba, and I was wondering, these are my children's age mates, how come you are in the US and your children understand Yoruba and mine can't even, they don't understand what go come is? And she said that when we are outside in the mall and he wants to be funny, I'll just tell him, Tiba dele, Timo fight, Timo no. So as in everybody around it doesn't understand what is going on. So to them, they just think there's a discussion. It was like, she uses Yoruba as a warning that behave yourself. When we get home, I'll deal with you.
This language thing is pretty interesting, because I know when I compare the home I grew up in and the home my husband grew up in, they're very different. I grew up in a home where my father thought what made us feel as though that speaking Yoruba was vernacular. You speak proper English. When you're talking to him, put your hands behind your back. You speak, that was the mentality. My husband, on the other hand, he grew up in a home where they spoke only Ekiti Yoruba, that's conk, and that was what he spoke till. He said he didn't learn English until he got into secondary school. Is it like that was the first time in secondary school? Even in primary school.
How is his command of English?
Fantastic. It's much better than mine. I mean, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Because he
didn't understand your English until he didn't start speaking English properly until he got into secondary school. Even in primary school, was taught in Yoruba practically. But his spoken English today is much better than I am. Because he learned it as an adult. He knew the principles. When you are forced to understand Yoruba English at a young age, you don't get to understand the principles. You just hear it. But as an adult, as a grown-up teenager, understanding English, understanding how to match the tenses, he made better sense. So now he speaks so much better. So I now realize, you know what? This never just saying speak only English. You're wasting your time because the kids actually don't get to speak. When I went to the US, I failed English woefully. Mathematics, I did well. And I went to Corona, private school. When I got to the US in my first year, I got to in my SS class, I failed English. I was like average, like a C, or maybe whatever it is. But I didn't do so well in English because I thought I was speaking English in Nigeria, but it's horrible. So the point is that, are we doing ourselves a disservice speaking English to our children this early?
We can't speak English better than the owners of the English. But for me, I think the world has gone very global. Do you understand? Because my husband and since the farm project and all that, since he started the farm project, he understood a bit of Yoruba because he grew up in Lagos and all that. But right now, he's forced to communicate in that language. So when I hear him speaking the Yoruba, for me, it's just amusing because he's had to learn the language right now. For me, I think, Mariah, honestly speaking, I love the idea of mother tongue. I love the idea of speaking in our local language, but I would have actually preferred if we had just one strong local dialect. Because where we are right now, that's why there's a lot of confusion.
Okay, let me pause you for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I think I lost that. Go ahead, please.
Where we are right now is a lot of confusion. My husband is from Adamawa State. I am from Edo State. For instance, now my own children are also like in the dilemma where Tokwe is. I don't know what language to teach them. So we're teaching them Hausa because I am privileged to have been born and bred in the north. So we have a common language in our home. So we are teaching them Hausa language. But you see, right now on your phone, if you go on Google, you want to communicate, you speak something in English, it can translate it to the language that you want to speak to someone. So I think even technology really has really helped.
Well, let me disagree.
Let me pause.
It has helped. Hang in there, so I can actually communicate if that is the need.
Okay, let me pause. Let me take John. John, are you there?
Yes, George is here.
Thanks,
name is George.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah,
George.
The topic of mother tongue that we are discussing this morning, I think we should all speak our languages to our children. Doesn't matter whether the husband is Yoruba, then the wife is, Igbo. Because children, before they are 10, they have the capacity to understand up to 4 languages without mixing them up. And so we should encourage the speaking of our languages. And you discover that most of the people who do well in English, they have this very good foundation with their own local languages. They are the ones that do better than those who even have English language as a foundation in their homes. So I think it is very important. Like, for example, me, my father is from Bayelsa and my mother is from Osh. I speak Yoruba and I still speak my language, my Ijaw language also.
Wow.
Both parents, they spoke the language. They never communicated with themselves in either of their own languages because they didn't understand Ijaw or Yoruba. But they speak in English. And when they communicated with us, they communicated in their own language. Like my mother communicated in Yoruba to us, and my father in Ijaw. And we picked up,
slightly confused,
all of us, both languages.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jeff, for sharing your experience.
I wanted to correct Uwa. When I studied in 100 level as a law student, we had to borrow English languages. And I studied the history of English languages. The English we speak today didn't just fall together. It didn't just, it wasn't a one language. They picked from Wales, they picked from Dutch, they originated from different languages, and finally we have English. If probably we were not colonized, by now I'm sure we'll have a common language across Africa. No, that's not our language. We'll have a common language. English. What's her name? This professor, she was at Celebration, usually attend the symposium, Oduwole. When she did the origination of languages, I now understood how my grandfather was able to sell kola nuts all the way to Calabar, and how Calabar people came for his burial when he died. He went all the way to the north, and my grandfather wasn't formal. He didn't go to any school, but he did his business and he communicated with his people.
Well,
so
I'm saying that
if we had been for over time, we would have had a common language. Now, to the question of Tokpe saying, I don't know which language to teach my children, that's wrong. I have elder sisters who married Yoruba. My first elder sister married an Ijebu man, the other one married from Kwara. The children speak my language, and they also speak Yoruba. Now, the way my sisters do it is that whenever they are on long holidays, that with my parents speak my language at home. So the first child, the eldest one that she has, the one that is married to Kwara, thinks that it is the in thing to speak Auchi. Because he watches us just flow like that, and he thinks mother is saying something secret. He wants to learn what
That's how I learned.
So it's important that you put them in the environment to pick
Hello,
up
are you there?
I'm there.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to contribute to the program. My name is Corporate Akintolu. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Our mother tongue is one of the very fantastic language to speak. I remember growing up speaking Yoruba all through in my parents' house. And now that I have my own children, I speak to them sometimes at like 45% of the time in Yoruba, and I speak to their mother most of the time in Yoruba as well. But once in a while, I see my children speak some kind of English that I don't really understand. I tell them, is this how to speak English? Even if this is the way you've been saying it in school. We were taught Yoruba all through our school days.
Yes.
And I tell you authoritatively speaking today that I think a man learns to speak a good English after primary school. You must first understand your mother tongue before you get to understand English language.
All right.
We have too many mother tongues.
Okay, thanks very much, Akinpelu. Thank you very much for that point. Let's take a quick break. We have our guest in the house. We'll take this further to the government level to see what the government is doing to help us push our native tongues. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. The ability to speak in our mother tongue cannot be overemphasized. It is the glue that binds Nigerians together and enables them to communicate their fears, feelings, values, traditions, and culture. According to reports, 25% of children below the ages of 11 are not able to speak their parents' indigenous languages in Nigeria. And if the trend continues, Nigerian language will be extinct. Joining us on the show is the Acting Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Mrs. Adebimpe Akinshola, and also the Special Advisor on Arts and Culture. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Good morning.
And we heard that you're going to a Yoruba conference after this, the Yoruba Teachers Conference after this.
Yes.
So it's exactly, you're in the spirit with this stadium. Now, since you're, as the Acting Commissioner for Tourism, I know that language is one of the identities of a people. And how has it been in Lagos State as regards the language? Because we heard that history is not being taught. Those things that define us are not really being taught in schools anymore. We're so open to the Western way of life, Western way of thinking. Is the Tourism Commission doing anything to help bring back the culture of the people? Which language is one of such?
Thank you very much. Good morning once again. I am happy that this program is coming up at this time. You said it all, that any people without their language, because language is the identity of any society, yes. And once you lose that, you have lost your identity. But for us in Nigeria, a lot of things we push to the government. Not that government does not have their own responsibility, you know, but language primarily starts from home. Yes, what language do we speak to our children growing up? I think a lot of us in Nigeria, we are shy to show or to let the world know who we are. So we copy a lot. We want to be like we want to be more Oyinbo than the Oyinbos, so to speak. For instance, the program we're doing here right now, we're supposed to speak Yoruba because we're talking about language. It's either we speak in Yoruba. This is Lagos State. So we will say Lagos State is a Yoruba state. But now we are speaking all sorts of grammar and all that. Well, for the government, in the past, one of the policy of government on education is that in any state, an indigenous language should be taught in all the schools. So for Lagos State, it is Yoruba in schools. For the northern state, Hausa. For the eastern state, Igbo, or any of their language. It is part of the policy on education in Nigeria. But are we following it? When you go to secondary school today, even primary school, you cannot even see teachers that are graduates of Yoruba. A Yoruba teacher or a graduate of Yoruba will rather want to go and work in the bank. They would rather want to go and work in the corporate, organization.
Is that not how they say it?
So these are the issues for the schools. We're supposed, a child going to school from primary school is supposed to be taught in the language. Children, they learn fast.
Yes.
But today we deceive ourselves, especially the nursery school children. I will use my own grandchildren as example, 2 of them. When they come to my house, I speak Yoruba to them. At times they say, "Oh, Grandma, what is the meaning of that?" So one day I said, "Yoruba. Are you not taught you?" Yoruba, they taught us in our school. And I asked them. They started singing. Orimi, Ejikami, Oruku, Ese. I clapped for them. And I said in Yoruba, "Oh yeah, Fọwọ́ kan orí ẹ." What's that?
Oh, they were just the song. They were not really.
Then I said, "What's that?" I said, "You just said Orimi. Oh, is this Ori?" I said, "Yes." So they were taught the rhyme. Do you understand? And they said they have been taught Yoruba. We need a radical approach.
Exactly. That's
a
the
radical approach. And that, affects all of us. We should start today. We must speak English and Yoruba language or whatever language that is indigenous to us to our children. For instance, you are in your home, you have visitors. You cannot do sign in your own language to your child so that your visitor will not even understand what you are talking about. Yes.
All right, talk about
the issue, most people consciously stopped speaking their language their native language to their children is because of the negative effect it has on their spoken English. And one of my students in makeup mentioned how she went to a primary school and a teacher was saying, "Enter your shoe and follow me." So that is a translation of English Yoruba to English straight. So he said, "Enter your shoe and follow me." I was like, it can't be. He said, "In Lagos," he said, "It cannot be." Now those are part of the reasons parents decided to stay away from English, Yoruba or native language, so that the children can learn English as they don't think in Yoruba and then try to now translate it to English and then now do the direct.
I used to watch your program. Instead of saying, I like watching your program. Because in Yoruba is Momanwo program. Yeah. But it's I used to, and I'm wondering what used to, what are you trying to say? So that's what she's saying.
So let me tell you something. For you to understand and be good in any other language, you must know your own language first. I will give you another example of a student in the boarding school some years back. She doesn't speak Yoruba so well. So when she got to school, in her own class, a British girl was in that class and can speak Yoruba, can read Yoruba. And then she came home, she said, Mommy, a white girl in my class can speak Yoruba. I said, yes. So, buying some storybooks in Yoruba. By the time she finished her, secondary school, she got B in Yoruba, not only on paper. She can speak it very well. And when she's speaking English, you will think she's born, or she was born there. So you need to understand your own language. When you understand your own language, you can process it, you can process any other language, and you can understand any other subject.
Okay, my own issue, I believe that language is supposed to be like a bond for us as a nation. All our various languages is supposed to be like a variety. It's like eating jollof rice with all the condiments and all that. But I see that all the time we use language as a form of distinction. She is this, I am this. And for me, that's the main reason sometimes I don't like to bring up the subject of language. So how do you think we can break that? That culture of, okay, she's Yoruba, me I'm Igbo, and you now have that kind of, oh, stay on your lane, I stay on my lane. Because it's not supposed to be. That's one. Secondly, we're talking about head knowledge and school. That is the same. It cuts across even the normal curriculum that we have in school. A lot of us, we just go to school for head knowledge. We're not able to translate what we learn in classrooms to the everyday life.
Okay, that's a different issue.
It's a different issue. I'm saying that.
Okay, but that first issue you mentioned, is important.
It's a big one.
Let me tell you why I don't agree with you. Because, okay, I just lost my... What was the point again?
But I wanted to mention...
What was the point you made though?
I said it's supposed to be a bond.
Yeah, but see,
not a variation.
We should celebrate our differences.
That's what we are saying, but we don't celebrate it.
Celebrating differences means that acknowledging that you are Igbo. Exactly. Acknowledging that I am Hausa. Acknowledging that you are Edo. And then with that, we still tolerate each other. Not acting as if, oh, we are all together. Yes, we are different, but you must accept who you are, and I must accept who you are, and still
But that is not a norm now, Murayo.
No, but
do you understand my question?
You see your customer will speak Igbo to you. You not give the person different
discount.
That she's my sister. Once person speaks Yoruba, you'll be like, okay, you give the person a different price. So it's like
that doesn't stop you from learning your language now.
That in a way is a different ball game. That does not mean that we should lose our language, whether somebody is discriminating or not. The trend is, I am in Lagos. It happens all the time, especially in religious places, where you have a Yoruba church. And somebody that is not Yoruba will come there and say, no, you cannot speak Yoruba because I don't understand that language. You have to learn, or you go to somewhere that your language, that is not discrimination. This is the reason why. I take Lagos, for instance. Some people will say Lagos is no man's land. No, Lagos is Yoruba land.
They have their history.
Yes.
They have their history.
Say it again. Tell her, she doesn't know that.
They have their history.
So these are some of the things that affect us. And for us in Lagos State, last year, the Lagos State House of Assembly, I was a former member. Every Thursday, we speak Yoruba. So whether you know how to speak it or not, you have to learn. And now the Lagos State House of Assembly of today that I know, there are non-Yorubas in that house. And still on Thursday, they still speak the Yoruba language. And I can tell you for free that some of the honorables that are not Yoruba, they are already, learning and speaking the language. That is to encourage us that this Yoruba must not go into extinction. And for... Okay.
It's a quick break. We'll have to take a commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to Yourview.
All right, welcome back. Let me start with Nima, then I have a Vox Pop. Let me come Nima first.
We have a corruption issue in Nigeria now, and we're trying to fight it. And I remember growing up, my father used to say that Omonari Bogime Olegba. If you speak the rules to a child in English, they always take it with levity. For instance, if you were to say to a child, I've lost that line of thought. I had it ready. Some rules that don't do this. That child would say to a child, remember the son of whom you are. If you say it in English, the child will just, my son name is this. But when you say, in Yoruba, the child knows that the family name is very important, it goes deep. Do you understand? So how do you advocate to the schools or the forum where you'll be meeting this afternoon, for instance, that, you know, these rules against corruption, you know, those kind of things, that they should be taught in our our mother tongue, so that the children that we're trying to train now would not forget easily.
I'll let her answer that. Let me just take this vox pop. I went around in the office, actually, asking people about this same question on mother tongue. Watch this.
Yes, I encourage my children to speak our language, because I, as an individual, understand the place of language while communicating.
If I don't teach them, who will? It's very important for us to teach them the local language.
Interesting. Sincerely, I don't think the time is ripe for that. My kids are still relatively young, and I just feel that in order not to get them a bit confused, let them just concentrate on the language that's a bit general, and that's my perception, and which is English. Again, mother tongue is very important, but sometimes you need to ask yourself, how valuable is the tongue nowadays?
Well, it's not that I do not teach them. It could come directly, it could come indirectly. What I normally do is I try to speak the language, the little that I can expose them to. For instance, if I want to tell them to come, I use our local language, which is come here, bieba, or sit down, jenodan, you know, just little ones that they can understand. So
my thinking in recent time, teaching my children the mother tongue has been, I found little or no place in terms of priority, because we're chasing paper, we're chasing money, you know, there's so much to achieve still for these same children. So maybe I would start, you know, working on that. But you should also ask, I think the question should also be, do I even know how to speak my mother tongue?
I mean, I was very blessed to have someone who's my language too, so she speaks to them too, and I tell her, you need to speak to them in Igbo. So that has really helped us, which is very important. I think it is.
For instance, if they make me mad, I go, you know, so that they know that mommy doesn't like what I'm doing. You're not listening. That's
Language experts could come together and see, let's see how we could incorporate language, not just major languages now, but, you know, local languages in communities where schools are. So you're not just doing the major Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa in schools in their various. You can also take the smaller, lesser dialects in that, you know, area, and then you also make it, you know, incorporate it into curriculum. So you help parents ensure that the children don't miss out.
So we're back now. All right, let's take some tweets. Do you have some tweets?
No, I don't have
tweets yet.
Not downloaded.
Okay.
But she was trying to answer the last question.
That in this cause of our fight against corruption, that what would she like, that how can she advocate? For instance, when she'll be meeting this afternoon at the Yoruba Teachers Forum, that, you know, advocate that they would teach simple rules against, you know, corruption with our local morals, using our local dialect.
Thank you very much. We will talk about that. But for first and foremost, the Lagos State House of Assembly, they're already working on a bill to make Yoruba language compulsory in all schools, especially from the elementary school. And for us in the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, starting this year, we are going to dedicate a day to celebrate Yoruba language and culture in Lagos State. So you will soon, you know, be seeing it. That is to, you know, encourage, you know, speaking the language. But I tell you, in those days when we were in school, you see all these virtues that you teach children about corruption, you have it in like rhyme. They will even, you know, dramatize it. And all this poetry, unlike now, that people are just looking for ways to just make it. I just want to become millionaire. How I get it, you know, nobody cares. So these are the little things that were imbibed in us when we were growing up. And it helped us, you know, even up until now. So until we go back to that, where are these alawiye? You know,
the business,
the textbook,
the textbook.
Yoruba textbook.
I thought I heard the history behind the agbada is supposed to be like you have worked hard, then you have you're supposed to be like it's prestigious. That's what they taught me in Lagos. But I want to say that when we were growing up, we had different languages, language 1, language 2. Yes. You are not, you know, so I think it is not also, I mean, the government should also look into language 1, language 2, because it makes you now feel more like a Nigerian. I learned Yoruba and Igbo. Those were Yoruba and Hausa. Those were my 2 languages. So the first language 1 is the one you are stronger in, and the second language is the one you're trying to learn. But we don't have that anymore. It's just one language, and I think it's unfair. Because in the north, we had Igbo teachers, we had Yoruba teachers, and we had Hausa teachers.
You are not even, you have not learnt your own real mother tongue. You are talking about the second language. We should deal with the first language.
The mother one. Unfortunately, we're out of time. But the truth is that I think what I want us to leave this place with is a decision within ourselves to speak the language to our children. Yes. Because whether you like it or not, I mean, many of us have traveled outside the country. I've shared this story several times where I've met Nigerians born in America, have Nigerian names, and they live in America, but they're still lost because they can't speak their native tongue. You have a Nigerian name, so you're still not seen as an American, you're still seen as a Nigerian, and you get lost between the American people and the Nigerian people. And there's a girl from a Nigerian girl, her Yoruba was conk. When this girl speaks English, you think she works with Queen of England. So you can actually have the best of both worlds. So I would make that decision. I would try really hard. I would try really hard to speak to my children.
We should be proud to speak the language. We should not think that we are inferior to anybody.
I want to learn Yoruba. Please, all my Yoruba friends, don't speak English to me anymore. Yes. I'll have to learn this language. Yes,
praying in Yoruba, there's nothing like praying in Yoruba.
So, nothing like Palemo show. Yes. Palemo show. So, Eshe Goma. Atupe lọ́jọ́ mi. All right. So,
Ariyin lola.
Ariyin lola.